It's time for all your binge-worthy pop culture news. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hey guys, welcome back and happy Monday. Guys, you know what Monday means? It's obviously a crazy day of lives for us. I think we have 5 right out of the gate plus pre-record, so it's a lot going on. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We've already pumped out, I think, 5 today, but that's not going to stop us from recapping Portia's Family Matters. Now, you know that Layla Lynn, Tisa Tells, and Grace Report, along with myself, we do kind of a rotation when we, recap Portia's Family Matters. So this week it's on my channel. Season 1, or if you ask Layla Lynn, Special 1, Episode 6. Layla Lynn's not here today because she is on vacation, and I'm so insanely jealous, but we still have Tisa Tells and Grace Report. So before we bring them up, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button. This is a subscribers only live chat. So if you're not subscribed, get subscribed. And let's welcome Grace Report and Layla Lynn. Hi, ladies.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so last night's episode was insane. Okay, insane. Now, I like to always kind of kick off and ask you guys and also everyone in the live chat, already 100 people in the room. Hey, what would you rate last night's episode? Grace, I'll start with you.
In terms of mass, a 10. But in terms of the dysfunction, also a 10. Like, I don't know if the 10 is good or bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's a 10, but is it a good thing because this is a real family? No. You know what I mean? What about you guys?
Okay. Tisa?
Honestly, I rate the show, I gave it a 6 last night. I know there was a lot of drama. If you guys know anything about my channel, I've been saying Portia was going to attack Miss Gina, Dennis, all this stuff. And it was really comforting to see everything I said was going to happen and my sources told me actually played out in the exact same way, right? So my sources are solid.
Isn't that always the best feeling too?
It is. I'm like, oh, okay, yes, guys, yes. Because every now and then you're like, oh, okay. Everything came out perfectly, but I got to tell you, from a mess point of view to Grace's point, it was outstanding. But then it became very sad. And then, us, because we're vloggers, I'm like, okay, but for season 2, where do you go from here? The family's not talking to you, so you can't really do healing. Dennis, if he does come, is not going to play ball with you, and it's going to be more knives out. So from that point of view, I was just kind of looking at it like, okay, fine. You have everybody's attention. Where are you going to go with this? And judging, we're going to get into that. But judging from what Portia's response has been, nowhere. So we'll see. We'll see.
I agree.
And I feel like, personally, I would give this episode, I'm going to say around a 7. But I think the only place they could go from here, moving on if they did a second season, would have to be the wedding. Like, I don't know where else they could go. And I don't even think a wedding calls for an entire season. But we'll have to wait and see. Again, there was a lot to unpack in just this episode alone. If you guys don't know and didn't catch the end of the episode, next week is the finale, and we'll be on, is it Grace, your channel, or Layla's?
Layla's channel.
Layla's channel. Okay, so we have the finale next week, but we did kick off this episode right where we left off last week, and that was with this fight. Oh, okay. So in this fight, we see Portia screaming, "Get him and his sluts and his mother out of here. Call the police." I mean, it went nuts. You see hands flying. You see boom mics flying. And I actually didn't notice this, but Storm, her cousin, came out and the Shade Room picked this up where she posted photos of her lip and her arm. And I'm sure you guys have already seen this, but Portia Williams' cousin Storm alleged that Dennis McKinley physically assaulted her on top of the sexual assault. Of course, we know that. But it was just mind-blowing, everything that was transpiring. And of course, we didn't get to see all of it because Dennis did tell us later in the episode that at one point Portia lunged at Mama Gina, which Portia has denied. I want to ask you both, do you think that actually happened?
Absolutely.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
People on Twitter broke it down. I'm actually going live later on today, but people sent me screenshots. And some of them look like they might have actually been there. She 100% lunged at Mama Gina. Even if you actually play the fight on slow-mo and actually listen to the audio, Dennis is yelling, "Where's my mom? Where's my mom?" He's so worried some Portia did something to his mom. Storm, they have the screenshots. She never even got close enough for Dennis to touch her. A producer literally was guarding Storm, and Storm was in the corner like this. Dennis was yelling, "Where's my mom? Where's my mom?" All those women jumped on Dennis. And I never defend the man in a situation because men are not supposed to hit women, blah, 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 blah. And to Dennis's credit, He did not, but he reacted like any human would react when you got 8 people on you, and it was so surreal. Because meanwhile, Porsha is throwing plates, knives, boom boxes. I've never seen in real life someone go that crazy in a public place. Maybe junior high school, maybe high school when people didn't have sense. And all that time, and everybody was holding Dennis down so he could keep getting assaulted. And Dennis did what a man would do. You know, he tried to break free, and all he kept saying was, "Where's your mom? Where's mom?" Friend Lauren kept saying, "Don't worry, your mom's safe. She didn't get your mom. She didn't get your mom." And then when Miss Darlene threw herself in to try to attack Dennis too for no reason, Lauren kept saying to Miss Darlene, she tried to hit his mom. It was so much going on. And the last thing I want to say, sorry to go on this rant, I honestly, in my heart of hearts, believe that if Dennis had laid a finger on anybody there, he would be under a Mexico jail right now. And everybody would be singing. The fact that nobody can actually say or point to anything tangible, Dennis, lets me know that Dennis's story is the right one.
Okay.
I completely agree.
All right, investigator Tisa. Okay. All right. So I did also want to ask you guys and everyone in the live chat. First of all, is it someone commented and said when I'm speaking with you ladies, when I say you guys, it's completely inappropriate and disrespectful. I just say that by habit. I'm not, you know what I mean?
Oh my God. Really?
I mean,
really?
Listen, I get ripped in the comments, so I like to just address.
I have felt offended like that, and I'm glad you took accountability in talking about it, Adam, because the other day I was crying to my boyfriend, like, what is the problem? Where's the respect?
You never know. You never know. But I did want to ask you and everyone in the live chat, Porsha sent a text, and she got completely exposed for this, but she sent a text to her family and her friends that said, "Do not talk about what happened last night." Now, fast forward, we get to the next morning, and Lauren has her spiritual healer who just arrived in Mexico, and they're taking them on a chakra cleanse. And on this chakra cleanse, nobody's mentioning anything. It got to the point where they're going around, they're doing the chakra cleanse, which I didn't understand everybody sitting in the grass, because you'll never catch my ass sitting in the grass. There's no chance in hell. But okay, we're doing it for the chakra cleanse. And at the end of it, producer James walks out and says, "Wait a minute. Why is nobody talking about last night?" I love the fact that Aunt Liz was like, "She told us not to." I'm like, "Go, Aunt Liz, throw Porsha under the bus." She's like, "Well, shit, I didn't do anything wrong."
You know, Porsha really showed how toxic and abusive and controlling she was in last night's episode. I feel like she's shown it for years on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, but for some reason she's always been coddled and like protected, and like, you know, the narrative has always been spun in her favor. But here it seems like the people are finally tired of it, and they're really truly going out of their way to expose it, as they should. You know, for her to go and beat people and then throw dishes and throw boombox microphones, you know, ask where someone is as she's holding a dish, like she's going to throw it at their face or something, then call other people animals and cry victim as usual, and then tell everyone to be quiet about it, gaslighting everyone like, "Oh, why is no one talking? My family always does this. They sweep things under the rug." Like, it was mind-blowing to see just how manipulative she was. It was crazy to me.
And to see her caught in the lie. Tisa, I know you have an opinion.
No, listen, I'm literally co-signing everything Grace is saying, on top of being mesmerized. You guys, how gorgeous does Grace look today?
Hey, look at you, Grace.
Like, so pretty. Literally,
world traveler up there.
Literally, I 100% agree with Grace. I was shocked. I mean, we've seen it for years, but to see it play out, the Machiavellian but short-sightedness, which is always Porsha's Achilles heel, where you sent a text out saying nobody say anything, and then I swear to God, me and my BFF, our mouths chopped open, where Porsha was in a confessional and literally said, "I wanted to talk about it, but this is my family. They're toxic. They just sweep up on the rug." You had your family take up for you, and as soon as you could, you threw them under the bus and used them as a tool to look better, to make it seem like they didn't want to talk about it, and you're just respecting them. Literally, I was just like,
that is so evil.
Yeah, she lied so quickly, so evil, without even a blink. Like, someone like that would scare me. Like, you can't be around me. I cannot trust you. You could kill someone and come in and like, but Kate Chaston said it when she said Porsha could run over a school bus full of children and somehow turn herself into the victim. She's a great actress. I see exactly what Kate was talking about. Porsha is an actress at heart.
To be fair, too, the Shade Room put this out this morning, you know, or it was last night, it was one of them. But the fact that Porsha has other family members who were asked to be a part of the show, and they were like, no, we didn't want to be a part of this messiness. This was one that came out, and she said this was her cousin. One thing I don't stand for is disrespect. I don't care who you are. You don't disrespect anyone's mother. You don't call someone's mother out of their name, and you definitely don't try to put your hands on anyone's mother. Many have asked my opinions on the show, so here it is. I'm glad that I declined to do the show after being asked to be on there. I don't agree with a lot of things that are being portrayed, but what I am grateful and thankful for is that the world gets to truly see who Dennis and Mama Gina are. Ones that over the years have personally I've gotten to know and love, ones who have called and checked in on me and my family almost every day since my mom passed, so no one can ever say anything bad about them or disrespect them in my book. And then she went on to give us a list of, do you still talk to Porsha? She said, no, not after hearing from her or Mama Diane since my mom passed. And then months later asked me to do a show. Absolutely not. And then was I asked to be on the show? She said yes, but I declined simply because I knew initially they wanted to create a fake narrative that Porsha has a village that agree to all her bullshit, and she doesn't. And I was like, okay, Porsha, you're getting thrown under the bus here. Yeah. Now Aunt Liz is throwing you under the bus for sending the text message. The whole crew looks awkward as hell because they're like, we don't know. Porsha doesn't want us to say anything. And then you have a cousin who's speaking out saying this is all fake BS. I'm like, Porsha, why did you sign up for this show?
Yeah.
I just want to point out that in that tweet and that tweet or Instagram story, and there's one more that I'll be talking about later. I just want to point out that it's kind of flew under the radar that this cousin low-key confirmed that Porsha and Simon were messing around way before she went public. These tweets, I mean, these messages she's talking about, if this is the time frame that Porsha was asking everybody in Atlanta to be a part of the show, this was in November, December, January. The young lady's mother, I believe, passed away, unfortunately, around that time too. So if the time frame is to be believed and no one's saying she's not credible, that means that everyone knew that Dennis, Simon and Porsha were messing around way before they actually went public and admitted it. And way before, I just want to say that Fallon was with Jalen. So even if people want to do that timeline, basically, Porsha's been exposed for everything we've been saying she was.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, Princess Di, thank you so much for the super chat. Did y'all see the bombshell that dropped last night? Her close cousin, Lady T Ford, confirmed what you said, Tisa. The family isn't cool with the engagement. Well, like Tisa said, she is doing another video today with more receipts, more tea, because that's exactly what Tisa does best. So we will be checking her out for that. I did want to pan over because once production called out, you know, Porsha, once James came out, who is the producer, one of them, and we've seen James on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Real Housewives of Potomac, Atlanta, New York. Like, James gets around for the different franchises, and he's damn good at his job. Even if you guys remember the Monique-Candace fight, James was the one who was trying to lock Monique out from coming back in.
Oh, that was James?
That was James, yeah. And James is also a good friend of my fiance's, Jason. I don't know James, but Jason knows James, so...
He's doing the Lord's work.
Yes, he's doing what he has to, and I'm sure he's seen some shit. I'm sure he could write a tell-all book at the end of this.
Yes,
for real.
You know, at the end of the day, when he called out Porsha and everybody, and he's like, this doesn't make sense. And Londi was like, I agree. The producer's right. It doesn't make sense. This big, you know, situation just happened, and nobody's talking about it. Porsha said, okay, so you're done filming the scene? We're done? Okay, so thank you.
Rude.
And I was like,
that was the Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I love the shadiness from production where they pan over and we're going to the white party that night. And it's the last night of filming in Mexico. And when they do, they cut over and they say, later that evening, Porsha decides that she wants to discuss the altercation. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Of course she wants to discuss it because producers probably went in her room and they're like, this is not going to work. You're trying to hide what's real. You guys just got into a really big fight. We have no other content to go off of, so we're going to air this fight, and nobody's talking about it. And I still don't even think Porsha really addressed it.
No. No, it's a monologue. She prepared a monologue to make it seem like she's accepting responsibility, but she didn't really accept responsibility. It's similar to that thing she posted on Instagram, like after the thing aired, where she basically claimed she was taking accountability, but then she's like, I didn't want to talk about it to protect Dennis. Meanwhile, she was the one throwing dishes and throwing microphones and swearing and looking for the mama to beat up and stuff. Like she's so fake and she's so manipulative, and it really shone through in this episode. You know what I'm really curious about is how many people were like Porsha fans, or at least like on the fence, and how do they feel now? Or did they not like her and this thing somehow made them like her? I'm really curious about like where her fan base is at right now, because
I have to say, to be honest with you, I got so much crap after the Fallon interview where people were, I would talk and do other videos in support of Porsha, and people are like, Adam, you can't support her. You did an interview with Fallon. I'm like, and I know I've said this multiple times, but one doesn't cancel out the other. I've been a big Porsha fan since she was on Atlanta. I feel like we've seen so much of her and like evolving from the wife of Cordell to being the queen of Thoughtland, like she liked to call herself, to launching her businesses and really growing in her public figure role. And I really appreciated her on the show. But now watching this, I think that she thought going into Porsha's Family Matters, this is going to be my show. I'll be able to control the narrative. I'll make sure that I have the whole family and everyone involved on sync, and it'll be good. I got this. But I think that this was a bullet train that she couldn't control. It got away from her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you know what that is, right? You can only hide your true self for so long, especially when the spotlight's on you. And to what Grace said, there was a time, I mean, I was never really a Porsha fan, because after that Candy mess, I literally looked at her as like, you're dangerous, but it seemed like an alternate world because everybody just moved on. I'm like, how do you accuse somebody of rape and all this stuff, and then you get to move on? Okay.
Yeah.
Then when the fights happen, then that's when I was just like, what is this weird thing where she up? And now we see Porsha had a lot of power on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Thank God for James. If he writes a tell-all, it should be called James and the Giant Peach. But I honestly think when Porsha, because I caught that too, like Grace said, how rude and demeaning and condescending she had James looking. And I felt James' secondhand embarrassment, because you're talking to a group of people. He already seems uncomfortable, but he has to do his job. And then she completely embarrassed him and then shut the scene down. And I said, why do I feel like that's when James said, oh, we'll see. We'll see. You want to talk about it? We'll see about that. Exactly. I literally was like, and that was the moment you made your enemy that brought all this down. And that's when James said, oh, we're getting the story out. So yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like, one, I appreciate, and I don't know if this started with Denise Richards on Beverly Hills with Bravo, Bravo, King Bravo. I don't know what it was or where it started, but I love breaking the fourth wall. A housewife that I'm not a huge fan of would be Kelly Dodd. But one thing that she said in one of her podcasts, and she says a lot of outlandish stuff, but she made a good point one time that I can recall. And it was, some of these franchises are dying. They need to do something to revamp them. And she said it's actually more interesting to see the interactions with the cast members and production. That gets more dramatic than actually seeing the cast members interact with each other. We should see more of that. And even this moment, seeing her with James, Porsha, and seeing where you guys felt like he might have been embarrassed, and he's like, I'm going to get the last laugh. I'm enjoying it. I like to see the fourth wall broken. So
I agree. I love it too.
We'll see. Guys, almost 450 in the room. Smash that like button. Less than 20 minutes in. Let's keep this moving. So we end up getting to the white party. And obviously, there are a few people who are noticeably absent. One would be Storm. She has to collect her feelings. Okay, Storm. We understand. Dennis and Mama Gina. Well, Mama Gina probably didn't appreciate getting allegedly lunged at. So she's out. She went to Cancun. And then Dennis was like, I got a girl in town. And I'm taking her to Cancun as well. So they didn't finish how they started off. But one thing that I agreed with in the conversation that was being had at the dinner was when Auntie Liz was like, I think that this went wrong because there were way too many people involved in the conversation. I think that this was a personal conversation to be had. And when all of you guys start throwing out Dennis's business, like he's a cheater, that's not conversation for the table. That is something that he did. In that time, he was a dog, and you have already addressed that. You have to put that in the past. It's not something for your assistant to chime in on, your best friend, your cousins. And I agree that probably was emasculating and embarrassing. However, you did do it, so you have to own it, but it would be embarrassing.
I feel like Dennis brought it up like first when they were doing the tequila tasting and he was talking about why he can't like really like Don Juan, and he kept bringing it up the whole, oh, well, you snitched, you snitched, you snitched. Like, I feel like he was the one who kind of brought that up on himself. And then like Don was just repeating the conversation, and then they kind of like continued on it, right, to produce this team, because they need to kind of like be a dog with a bone on like a certain bone. And that was the bone that was brought to the table.
What did Tisa, and I'm going to ask you this first, and then I'm going to pan over back to Grace. What were your thoughts when Simon, I love when Simon speaks up, because we're all just like, what the hell do you have to say? Like, after all of this, Simon, what are you adding to this conversation? And he's like, you know, co-parenting's not easy. And was I taken aback by what happened last night? No, I've seen worse and crazier in families. And then he said, I will always fall into the role that Porsha wants me to play. I'm like, good thing somebody is, because everybody else is jump shipped and they're like, hey, production, she's trying to manipulate this whole entire shit. So no, I'm out. What are your thoughts on Simon?
I mean, honestly, when Simon sat there and said, well, I would just like to say I'm very proud. And everybody looked at me like, boy, well, everybody just had their head cocked like, God, this is a long night. Let me just keep my mouth shut before like we say something. You can just tell people are just in their heads like unbelievable. And listen, Simon is who he's always been. He is self-important. He is cocky. He is arrogant. And just like Porsha, I'm beginning to see that people that worship Porsha have like they worship celebrity, right?
Right.
People think Simon has money and they worship Simon's money. And he's used to being in the room because people think that he's going to give them maybe $5 and a pat on the head to be able to come to the table and just like give some advice or whatever. He did also tweet this, which I always also thought, he didn't tweet, but he put on his Instagram, which I thought that Simon is always low-key dragging himself. It says, Black men, respect is earned, not given. I'm sorry. Black men, respect is earned, not given. We earn our respect by the way we treat our children's mothers, not by disrespecting them privately or publicly. Otherwise, we perpetuate the cycle of abuse. Simon, that was you all last year when you were dragging Fallon. That was you treated your second wife. It's the way you treated your first wife. Simon, you are the person you speak about. But again, I see with Porsha and Simon, they're equally yoked because they're always dragging other people, but they're always telling on themselves. And this is the last thing I want to say. Irene, sweetie, I see you in the comments. And I just want to say, at this point, I know we have fandoms. I know we have this. I know we have that. If somebody cannot see that trying to get somebody arrested, especially a person of color, arrested overseas for no other reason other than you were mad. If someone sees somebody lying, conning, manipulating, and causing all this chaos, hurt, and confusion, and you are still like, oh, you just have a problem with Porsha. My dear, you are the lost soul. And maybe one of the reasons you're focusing so much on Porsha is because you share the same personality traits and your friend group has also ostracized you. I'm just saying, I don't know, Irene, work it out. I don't know. I send you blessings and love. Okay? I come from a place of love. All right, so let's go.
I love how we call that where I'm from a nice nasty, where we like to just give our little dig and then end it off with, and I call that where I'm coming from.
It comes from love. I pray for you. I pray.
Okay. All right. So Susie said, facts, Tisa. Oh, wow. Dang. Facts, Tisa. Speak it, Tish. Yes, Tisa, get her. Facts. Say it louder, Tisa. Okay. Calm down, everybody. Let's get back to it. Okay. Now, I want to, since we finally end up this white party, we ended off, we see Porsha and she's back with her mom and Diane. And when she's talking to her, I almost forgot that her mom was not actually on the trip. I was like, oh yeah, she wasn't there, because I couldn't imagine how would her mom have reacted to Porsha losing control, to Storm speaking out, to Dennis, the way he was acting, to Mama Gina. Like, how would Porsha's mom have reacted in this whole situation? And
she would have enabled it.
You think so?
She would have enabled it. Porsha would have been the victim, in her opinion. Her mom is a bird, just like she's a bird. You know, like she would enable it. Where do you think she gets it from?
Okay, Tisa.
Grace did it all, literally.
She would have been an enabler.
I you know what? It's so weird to think that a mom wouldn't get you together and try to calm you down. My mom, first of all, I would have never been in that situation, but my mom would have been pushing me out the door. She would have been dragging me by my ear away from the table. Like I would have been being pushed out the door and yelling over my mom trying to get a last word in before she pushed me out the door. I do believe that at this level of not taking, but you know what? Not even her mom, her Aunt Liz, because even the way her Aunt Liz, as wise as she is, still looks at Portia as this naive little girl when she was like, your friends were the one. Aunt Liz, she bought Dom and Storm to be her cat's paws. She bought, even when Dom and Dennis were cool and they sat down, Portia started them going. And when everybody was like, can we just move on? She was like, no, let Dom speak. So Portia bought Dom and Storm to do her dirty work so she could come off smelling like roses. But unfortunately, it backfired. But Aunt Liz didn't see that. She was literally saying, Portia, you got to be careful about who you have around you. And I was just like,
I'm here for it. Listen, my mom, I know this is off topic, but I was at a restaurant in West Hollywood and it was around Pride time. They had the Pride parade and my mom and I were sitting at this Mexican bar. It was a Mexican restaurant. I think it was called Tortilla Republic, something like that. But this guy comes up behind me and he was wasted with his friends and he comes up and hits on me. And I said, I'm engaged. Thank you. Not interested. And he goes, what? And then he starts going on this rant right in my ear, like this bitch, and starts like going, I can hear everything he's saying. And my mom's sitting next to me and she's like, Adam, no, Adam. And I'm like, Mom, I have to shut this guy up. This is ridiculous. And she's like, no. And then he couldn't get my attention. So he paid the mariachi band to come over and start singing happy birthday to me and started this whole like thing trying to get attention over it. And he's like flipping me off. And my mom was like, Adam, it's time to go. So she threw money on the counter and she's walking me out and she's like, hold on, I have to go to the bathroom, and runs back in. And I was like, where'd she go? And she comes back out. She's like, I took care of it. And I was like, took care of what? And she's like, don't worry, I took care of it. And I'm like, Mom, you're a badass. But my mom also, she'll never let me be in the line of fire of something. And she won't let me see the actions that she takes, but she is damn sure there to always take my side. So guys, if you ever catch me at a Mexican restaurant and Mama Bear's there, don't try the hell out of me. Uplifting depression. Yes, exactly. Super chat. There is a fine line between hate and honesty. Tisa is being honest, and she is not sorry that the truth is changing your perception on someone named Portia that you may be obsessed with, Miss Irene. Love. Okay. Tisa, you got them going in the live chat. Thank you so much, Uplifting Depression. We appreciate you guys. 600 people in the room. Smash that like button. Show some love. What did she say? I don't know. I don't know. Mama Bear is crazy. In the best way. All right, so let's keep it moving. I wanted to talk about the fact that we at least got something positive out of this. And it was how the show was originally supposed to start out. And it was focusing on, you know, the Hosea and the foundation and, you know, Portia's grandfather, his legacy, everything that he did and how she can continue on the legacy. And now when we went to, it's a foundation, right? The whole building, that's considered a foundation. Okay, so when we went to the foundation and we see Aunt Liz doing her thing, I'm like, Aunt Liz is a boss. This place was amazing. So they said that she said that they serve about 51,000 people a year. And she was showing her father with Martin Luther King and said that he wanted to figure out his own legacy. And so now they have this place where it's one of the largest African-American female-ran food banks in the region. I'm like, this is big. She's doing the damn thing. And she probably signed up on the show thinking we would be more heavily focusing on that, not on this drama. And I love the conversation she had with Portia. Like, you need to stop listening to the outside noise. You are, you know, a prominent figure. You're a public figure. You have a voice and it's time to use it in a productive way. I think Aunt Liz is great for Portia.
I think she tries, but she still enables her in some ways. Because, you know, in the conversation earlier, like Tisa said, she was kind of like putting the blame on Dom and like the assistant Lauren. And then again, like when they were at the foundation, that was nice and everything. But then again, she's not really like putting Portia at the center of her action. She's still saying, you know, those people don't have legacies. You're the one who does. So don't let them rile you up. Meanwhile, this is like the 4th time that Portia has gotten into a fight on camera. And there was another fight while she was pregnant with Pilar when she went up to some girl and like chest bumped her while she was pregnant or whatever. Like it's a Portia thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's not other people riling her up. It's a Portia problem. And it's nice we saw the like foundation and everything that they're doing. But again, it's Portia being manipulative. It's like, let me, you know, here I am being a hood rat, beating people up again. So let me go show off the foundation to kind of get the heat off of that. Meanwhile, in Mexico, what was she doing? She was trying to get her baby daddy falsely imprisoned over a fight that she started. Like, she's so fake.
I mean, honestly, had he have gone to jail in Mexico, that could have been a huge deal. Like, who knows how long it would have taken to get him out of jail. I mean, first of all, that's why, like, even in my family, I feel like my family is like one of those old school Italian families. Like, even when they fight it out at a family reunion or whatever, in my family, sometimes they go nuts and there's always drama, but it's like, keep it within the family. You get your ass whooped. You better not call anybody. You're not calling the police. This is within the family. And I'm sitting here like, I don't know, just watching it and seeing Porsha so reckless with the call the police. I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know if we should call the police. And 9 times out of 10, when the police come, they don't just arrest the person that you're accusing. They take everybody, whoever was involved. If you scratched him, he scratched you, you both have marks on you, both of you guys are going to jail. I don't think that would have played out in Porsha's favor. So I'm really glad the authorities were not involved. And I'm surprised that the hotel didn't say something.
Oh, so the authorities were involved. They actually got the police up there. The police refused to make any arrest. They saw the footage, they saw whatever, and they refused to make any arrest. Porsha and Storm tried their hardest to get Dennis arrested. It just didn't work because there was no evidence at all.
Well, they're lucky there was no arrest, because there should have been on the 2 of them and Storm's mother, because those were the people, putting the paws on others.
Yeah, well, this is why Dennis left the very next day, and I would have too. We're supposed to be working. Like he said, I know Porsha. He knows Porsha's crazy. You literally just tried to get me arrested in a foreign country. I'm not giving you a second bite at the apple. I'm out. I'm out. And don't forget when she said, I think, when they're at the table and she was like, you and your S's and your mom, go get out. I actually think at that point, Porsha was kicking them off the show because there was no girl at the table. I thought again, this is just me piecing together, that she was literally at that point decided, I don't even need y'all for the show. She wanted to torture Dennis. It wasn't working. She finally lost her cool and she had that big blow up. And while they were leaving, it's why she tried to go for Mama Gina. But to your point about Aunt Liz, I completely agree. Grace has this family down. I was the one last time. It's like, well, let's give them a little bit of grace. And Grace was like, no, I see these people for what they are. You guys are enablers. She clocked them from the beginning. They're enablers. They're enabling the bad habit. Porsha, she clocked them from the beginning. I will say that Aunt Liz did low-key drag Porsha, whether she meant to or not, where she said, activism, it takes more to be activism than showing up, raising a fist, and taking a few photos. It's more than that. And she even said to Porsha, so I'm going to be watching to see what you do. So she even let Porsha know, I'm not buying this. And like, you need more than just showing up and getting photo ops and then going to be an activist with a lifelong commitment. So I thought that was even interesting, that her own aunt was basically accusing her of what Kenya accused her, saying you are an activist. I
loved that.
Do you think that there might be some members within Porsha's family who might look at her, like, since she did do The Pursuit of Porsha, she did her book, her whole storyline last season was putting herself on the front lines of the Black Lives Matter movement. She talked about her grandfather, and, I know that Kenya gave her some flack for it, but do you think Aunt Liz, who legitimately has like gotten in here, she has done the work, do you think some of her and some of the other family members look at Porsha like, this is kind of a joke, you're doing this is a publicity thing, whereas like we're actually out here doing the work and you need to understand what doing the work means? Or do you think that they're just happy that she has this public platform and they can all kind of use it in order to continue doing amazing work?
Oh, sorry, Grace, you go first.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that, I'll be honest with you, what Aunt Liz built the Hosea Foundation, I see EHC Bunny had a good point. Hosea was always more into feeding the poor than criminal justice. That's not to say he wasn't a big freedom fighter, because anybody that knows to take down a giant oppressive state, you have to feed the hungry. You have to educate people. You need people on the front lines going to war. You need 20 different things throwing rocks at a giant to take down oppression. So that's where Hosea's heart was and where he fought for civil rights, by feeding the poor, helping the poor, and giving them a firm base. I will say that, like, I mean, honestly, from what I know about the Hosea Foundation and what Aunt Liz actually built up, she took a foundation and a legacy and not just maintained it, but built it. And they are the largest, they are the best, and it is Black woman owned. Um, from what I've heard, she's used to people with celebrity coming
Okay.
and wanting to fit photo ops and act like this and out like that and go like, oh no, I'm giving you my name. Do it. I think that because we think in Bravo that it's a little deal, that we think that Portia's star power, but there's people way bigger than Portia and way more respected than Portia that want to come and use that charity for a photo op. And so even if they're like, oh my God, you're going to give us attention, there's way bigger people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And to be honest, Aunt Liz and the power she's collated around it, and politically where it really, really counts, they don't need Portia or anybody from Bravo or any movie star, starlet, or whatever. So I thought it was a bit presumptions at the end when Simon was like, you need to show because Portia's going to carry the legacy. Simon, that shows how ill-educated you are on civil rights, the Hosea Foundation, and what everybody does. So
that's I was going to ask you guys that at the end because I saw the preview for next week and we definitely have to talk about that. But before we do, I wanted to ask a question for you guys in the live chat, and I could have just Googled it. But we see where, let's pan over, we leave, Aunt Liz, and we see Portia in the kitchen talking to Lauren, her assistant, and they're talking about food and wings. And I'm so glad you got the salmon salad and you didn't want the chicken. She's like, girl, I've been eating chicken and chicken wings and Wyatt's. And I was like, what is a Wyatt?
Good question.
I didn't know. So I wanted to see in the live chat, guys, do you know what a Wyatt is? Because I want to know what a Wyatt is. But we did get a serious conversation where Portia is talking to Lauren about the fact that baby Pilar has to get a surgery. And that, it breaks your heart for any baby that has to go through that, because I've never personally had surgery. I would never want to be put under anesthesia. I'm a freak about going to hospitals. I know not everybody is that way. But when I hear about her having to get this surgery and get her tonsils removed and some other things happening at such a little age, I could see why Portia would be concerned and stressed out. And it also gave us a very real moment. A lot of the stuff that we're watching with them, with the meditation and Dom, and it's like it feels pre-produced and fake. So when we get to see Aunt Liz and talk about the Hosea Foundation, and we see, Portia talking about baby Pilar, I'm thinking, okay, so this is the real stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
It is real stuff, but it's the conveniently timed real stuff. It's like, okay, so we're 6 episodes in and we're just getting this now after you try to beat, a senior citizen with a microphone stand and a plate. It's a little convenient to me. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I noticed it too when they were on the bus ride to that place where they were going to do like that last meditation where they're going to sit there and cover things up or something. Portia was sitting next to Londi. And if you notice, Londi isn't close with Portia and Portia's not close to Londi. They never sat next to each other or really interacted throughout this entire series. But now all of a sudden, because she doesn't want Londi, I'm assuming she doesn't want Londi gossiping with Dawn or whoever about what went down and like the microphone catching that, Portia made sure to get right next to her and pretend to be all buddy with her for the first time. Like there's a lot of very like Portia pulling the scenes and producing. There's a lot of that going on. It was very blatant.
Right. No, I could see that. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but did you see where, and this is at the very beginning of the episode, when the fight is all happening and Dom like gets up and he starts panicking and then he like slams his fist on the bar and he starts crying and he tried to get in it. And then you see the producer woman and she's like, don't even try it. And he like backs up. I was like, I love this producer. She was like, she went like this. She's like, one more person try to get in this and I'm going to start throwing elbows. I was like, I will take that producer any day. I loved it because, James is getting in there. Like, I don't know. I mean, I would look at a fight. It doesn't matter who it is. And I would be like, 1, I don't want to catch a right hook. And 2, there's like 7 people in this fight. I don't know what to do. I would just probably throw like a bucket of water and be like, guys, I don't know. So I love the producer and I love that she did that. Dom, take a seat. And
I love Dom's dramatics. You're not even part of the family. Aunt Liz doesn't even know you. And here you are acting like you're the main character.
Yeah. Aunt Liz is like so over him too. She's over him and Storm. She's like, I don't know why you two are here, but okay. Now, we do kind of fast forward and, pan over to Dennis at the hot dog joint, and we see him talking to Mama Gina. Mama Gina obviously works at the hot dog joint. She's doing the damn thing, getting her hands dirty, and they have a conversation. And she said to Dennis, she's like, 1, I won't be disrespected like that. And that was exactly what that was. I don't even know how to have a relationship with Porsha at this point with the way that she talked to me and treated me. And two, I think Portia's reacting that way because she's not over you. She's in love with two men, you and Simon. And that's her problem. And I was thinking in my head, you guys have been saying this since day one. Everyone's been saying this, that it felt like Porsha had some residual feelings for Dennis, which would make sense. They just had a baby. Pilar's not that old. They just got out of a relationship less than a year ago before filming. It would make sense. I don't think she's wrong.
And he traumatized her, and that takes a while to get over. You know what I mean? You don't just jump into a new relationship and all of a sudden all of that is in the past. She didn't really have time to grieve over like what he put her through as well. I think that that's still lingering.
You know,
the whole cheating thing while she was pregnant.
Yeah, and I was reading tweets last night where people were like, Porsha needs to get over it. You were cheated on, girl. It's not the end of the world. And I'm like, hold on. Wait a minute. That's not for you to decide, because no matter what you want to say about Porsha and using her family as collateral to have a good show and trying to pre-produce, being cheated on is still traumatizing because it's going to give you some sort of issues, whether it's making you mentally like question yourself, question being in a future relationship. Are you good enough? Are you not? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot that she has to deal with. And I know that she attributed her reacting and having such a big reaction because this was so triggering. But I think it's true.
It's
Tisa,
true.
go ahead.
No, I 100% agree with you guys. It's true. And literally the things Dennis did to Porsha while she was pregnant, unforgivable. Like they're unforgivable. My only but is the fact that, the fight started because you couldn't lay your hands on Dennis's mom. Dennis's mom didn't cheat on you. So what's your excuse for her? What was your excuse with Kenya? What was your excuse with Jamie? I just did an interview with Jamie. That's the young woman that Porsha jumped on an alley, and everybody was just like, why? Why did it happen? And now that I see this Porsha, things like this happen because Porsha gets mad, she gets upset, and she decides she wants to physically put her hands on people, and she knows there's not going to be consequences. Again, her being hurt and shaken to the core would have been a very powerful storyline, and I would have been there for it and been like, yeah, I admire you, Porsha. Go, I really would have. But I just separate the violence from what she said and triggering her, because at this point, I see no nexus between her violence and what actually bothers her.
Right. And I feel like, too, you kind of, and this is whether you're physically violent or you start screaming, this was something that I was always taught growing up. You lose the conversation when you lose control over your emotions. And you definitely lose the conversation once you snag the boom, mic, or you're trying to fight and somebody's holding you down. You really lose the conversation then. But it's true. She could have had control over a narrative where people would have really sympathized with her and showed her, I guess a lot of sympathy. I guess that's the word. But I don't know. Princess Di, thank you so much for the super chat. No, her family was probably embarrassed when she thought that the Underground Railroad was a real train. She never spoke on the foundation again until. Oh, I forgot about that. I did forget about that, guys. Okay. All right. So I did want to move on because obviously we saw a conversation where Dennis talks with Simon and he wants his shit back. Okay. Simple as that. He wants his Versace robe and everything else. And we see Porsha go down to the basement. And I always love these kinds of scenes because I know that someone in Porsha's position, they're getting a lot of free shit. So whether it's like hair extensions or new shoes, I would love to go in Paris Hilton's little shed because she gets boxes for days. And when she's going through it, she's like, he doesn't have anything here. He has like 4 plates. I'm like, first of all, that was like 8 plates, but he has 8 plates, mail, a grill, an entertainment system, couch, his taxes. He has some stuff there, Porsha. And I'm glad that she's finally taking it out. I agree with Simon that you have to get this stuff out. We have to move on. By the way, I don't know if you guys have seen Porsha's new house, and we know that she gave her old house to her mom. I saw a photo of her in front of a pool, which looked amazing. It looked like a beautiful new build. If someone has the photos of that house, I've got to see the Tisa. You probably already have them.
I have it. Do you want the real estate tour? There's a whole real estate tour where they take you through every single building.
Tisa,
come on, Adam.
My gosh. This is why I love talking to you guys. Listen, sometimes I'm so involved in so many other franchises that I know when I'm talking about like Atlanta, especially with Tisa, when I'm talking about Atlanta or anything affiliated, I know where to go. Grace, same thing. I know where to go. So I love these
have the delivery
conversations.
tour. It's a YouTube tour. They bought it fully furnished. I walked through it, but I'll send it to you on Instagram. It takes you through every single room, every single thing. It lets you know when it was built. It was actually built from the scratch. I think the owners paid $590,000 to have it built for the land, and then they financed it themselves, building it. So yeah, it's a cute house, you know, and it's nice that Portia let her mom continue to live in her house because Portia pays the mortgage on that. Portia's mom doesn't work. So listen, I admire Portia for doing it. I will put my mommy here, mommy. I'll pay the mortgage forever. You stay here. But also, it looks like she might be back there sooner than she thinks. Portia's name is not on the public records. Portia's name is not on the mortgage. It is not on the deed. It is nowhere on that house. She literally is a glorified roommate. She's in less a position than Fallon was. And we saw what happened and what Simon Says happens when he's done with women. He packs them up and he moves them out. So if you notice, Portia just bought some clothes, and those are probably going to be the same clothes. If they fall apart, she goes back on. So,
oh my gosh! Listen, if I were Portia too, after being kicked out and being what she calls "quote unquote" homeless when Cordell pulled his stint, I would never sell my house again. I would not rely on a person to have, you know, same thing. Jason and I are kind of the same way. Like if we've decided we bought a condo, we put one in one person's name, another in another person's name. We fully anticipate being together for the rest of our lives. But at the end of the day, everything, you never know what's going to happen. So you want to make sure you're setting yourself up, because who wants to wake up and be 40 or 50 and all of a sudden be thrown out on your ass and be like, oh, well, I trusted this person. Don't trust anyone. Okay. Maybe that's a little extreme, guys. Sorry. Okay. All right. So I do have a couple questions before we talk about next week and what we're looking forward to. Actually, just one question. This is for both of you and the live chat. At the end of the day, do you think that this Mexico trip would have been much more productive had it been a more intimate group? The immediate family without all of the extra voices, do you think we would have gotten somewhere and not had the fight? Or do you think it was inevitable? A fight was coming. It was just a matter of time.
I think a fight was coming. It's reality TV. You know, we're not here to see families bond and like do better. We're here to see families be torn apart by drama and sometimes even violence. And that's what they delivered on. So even if it was a small, intimate group, Porsha, as long as Portia's there probably would have been a fight. Portia is a violent person. You know, it just is what it is with her. So I would have anticipated a fight at some point. She would have had some kind of excuse for it.
Okay. Tisa?
No, I completely agree with Grace. It's Portia's energy. Drew talked about that Delilah spirit, and I laughed about it. Portia has, if you believe in Delilah spirits, Portia has that energy of violent chaos. Now, you guys know I'm a chaotic person. Usually I'm like, oh, yes, more chaos. But when you bring violence in the fray, I'm like, oh, I can't do this. Please, somebody, no. I do think, and honestly, I think no matter what happened, Dom and Storm would have been there just because their role was to start the fire so Portia could have clean hands, her and Simon. So I do believe the show wouldn't have happened without Portia being able to have her fire starters there. So,
Okay. Cool Cat said Real Housewives of Atlanta cast should refuse to tape with Portia. She is dangerous, fighting, lying, and threatening their careers and their families. No way Bravo should allow her to come back in any capacity. Well, we know that Portia is, very loved by the network and Andy Cohen. And I do wonder, I think everyone wonders, what is the line? Like, how many times can Portia be caught in these physical altercations and not have to really pay the price? If anything, the worst consequence she's ever gotten was after dragging Kenya off the reunion floor, and she was demoted to a friend role, but still caught in every single episode. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. They probably lowered her income a little bit for that season. And then moving forward to the next season, they probably put it right back where it was. I don't think that's a real consequence.
No, there's never a real consequence for her. There's always, that's actually why I stopped watching RHOA for a bit, because I thought I was going crazy. I was like, here is this person who is just so evil in every sense of the word. Like, they beat people up, they lie about people, they spread like rumors about people assaulting them and stuff, and they somehow always manage to get away with it. And not only that, but they get put on a pedestal, like they fake their whole activism thing. And then we're supposed to pretend it looks genuine and it's real. In that Housewives book, they talk about how she's the greatest housewife transformation. I'm like, a couple of years ago, like for no reason, Candy helped her so much in her divorce when she was kicked out with nothing but a toothbrush, not even health insurance. Candy got her on the play and all this stuff. And what does she do? Like for no reason, unprovoked. And they just champion it. And I was like, am I going crazy? Like, what is going on? It was very weird. So I'm happy she's not here next season because I could finally watch again and feel like a sense of relief.
Okay, Grace, tell us how you really feel. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So next time on the season finale, we know that we get Londi calling out Porsha for not being closer. And you see where Porsha tells Londi, you weren't there for me when I was in a physically abusive relationship. So that's what she's attributing it to. Tissa's face says otherwise. Tissa?
Well, again, Londi's looking to the side because anybody that knows that true timeline, Londi always tried to have a relationship with Porsha, or at least be cordial. When Porsha married Cordell, she literally was like, same thing she's doing with Simon. I'm rich. Y'all can't say anything to me. Excuse me. I can't hear you. My man's money too loud. Porsha was on her BS. She actually separated from a lot because she thought she was too good for a lot of people. As far as when I was in an abusive relationship, Porsha was busy fronting and lying, just like she does in every relationship. From what she said in the book, she lied to try to make Cordell look perfect. These are Porsha's words, not mine. Then she lied to make Dennis look perfect. Yeah, and now she's lying to make Simon look good. But the whole point is, Londi's looking like, how was I supposed to know that you were in an abusive relationship? When she shared that information with Londi and the world, because she didn't mess with Londi like that, Londi was there for her, and she reached out. My sources are telling me. So that's why Londi is on TV like, what? Well, it's like me saying, Adam, Grace, y'all weren't for me sick when I was sick last week and I stubbed my toe. And you're like, how am I supposed to know you were going through all this? You told me everything was fine and you were feeling great. So again, Porsha was trying to have a moment with Londi, and Londi was like,
no.
Yeah. And don't forget, like Porsha's sister just got out of an abusive relationship, and she was talking about it in episode 1 of the show. And we've never seen Porsha like ask her anything about it or care anything about it. And then her cousin, who Adam, you posted the stories where she's like, I was asked to be on this and we're not doing this mess. She talked about how Porsha and her mother never reached out to her when her mother died. They only came around to ask her to be on the show. So it's very much pot calling the kettle black. Porsha doesn't seem to actually care about anybody but herself either. So
okay. Marva said Adam in the clip, Porsha didn't say physically, she said abusive. So my apologies, abusive. And then there was another part going into next week where Aunt Liz obviously tells Dennis that she feels they need to cancel the outside noise. She's made that stance known. But I wanted to point this out because Tissa, you brought it up. Simon points out that Porsha is Hosea's granddaughter and says to Aunt Liz that they need to start showing respect. And when he's like, Porsha is Hosea's granddaughter, you see Aunt Liz and she's like smiling like, yeah. And he's like, you guys need to start showing respect. Her face goes, excuse me?
Is Liz the daughter? Like, what is he talking about?
Yes,
Liz is related to
Liz.
Hosea.
The nerve. I literally said the nerve, the sheer unmitigated gall that you were talking to Hosea's daughter. Don't also forget, Aunt Liz was 9 years old getting arrested on the pro. She was spending nights in jail at 9 years old. She had dogs put on her. Aunt Liz has seen some things. If you actually read her story, it's heartbreaking and reminds you of such a dark time in our nation's history. And for you to sit there and talk about a granddaughter that showed up. But then again, this lets you know Simon's the ultimate clout chaser. And also let me know something else. Porsha and Simon are two people that have their representatives out, and both of them are believing the other person's representative's bullshit. Porsha is also gaming Simon, and Simon's falling for a lot of it. And she's going to have him out here looking stupid, just like she does everybody else, just like Porsha is believing Simon's representative. So on that point, I was just like,
Okay. And then lastly, we end off before getting into the finale for next week. We see Porsha and Dennis finally sit down, and it's ending off with pretty much fighting over the fact that she's saying, you don't pay for anything. And he's like, what are you talking about? You're making yourself look so stupid. She's like, stupid. You don't pay for when it comes to baby Pilar. I was like, this is how you're ending it. Okay.
Listen, that's the refilmed scene. Don't forget, you guys. That's the scene that she sat down and refilmed and thought she was going to have her way with Dennis. And if you saw, they cut it off. I was talking about in a live a couple of weeks back that one of the reasons she's flipping out is because after the fight, Dennis is like, I'm not doing this. If you're in a good move, I get to see my daughter. We're going to solidify the visitation. And what Porsha's saying, you don't pay anything for Pilar. True, he does not give her a lump sum of money. However, Porsha, by her own account, has said, and all my sources are telling me, Dennis buys Pilar what she needs, takes her where she needs to go, daycare, doctor's visits, clothes. I mean, come on, Pilar, and he has her half the time on top of that, you know?
Right.
So it's kind of like, Porsha, the only reason you're not getting child support, but again, to your point, and I just want to say this, Porsha is a master at playing words, just how Marva actually pointed out. Porsha never said she was in a physically abusive relationship. But Adam, you and I, when I see abusive, I read physically abusive, right? But Porsha left the physical part off. Just like she keeps using this tag word, child support, when literally we look at it, it's like, oh, so Dennis isn't financially supporting his child. He is, but there's no court order that she's getting a lump sum every amount. So again, she's playing with words, trying to get reactions. But Dennis this time backed her up and said, that's why I'm going to a judge. And that you heard Porsha say, why are you putting judges on me and blah, 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 because he's literally having them look at her fitness to be a parent. And he's trying to get as much custody as he can of his daughter. So,
I mean, to be fair too, you know, like when I was growing up, my parents always, there was no child support. It was kind of, you take care of him when he's here. I'll take care of him when he's here. So I get that, but I don't know. We'll see, because the media they will run with, Dennis doesn't pay child support, he's a bad dad. And it's very easy to do that. But I know with all of this, I know that you two ladies are extremely busy on your own channel, so I don't want to keep all of your time. In order to help us end off this live, guys, over 850 in the room, smash that like button, show some love. I'm going to start with you, Tisa. What are you looking forward to from this finale?
Honestly, with this finale, I'm looking for a little bit of closure. I do want to hear more about what Dennis said. I do want to hear from Mama Gina. I actually do want to hear, you know, the weird thing is, I want to hear about everybody's takeaway except Simon's and Porsha's. I already know where they're going, but I do want to see Aunt Liz. She actually did touch my heart. It did show me it could be it could have been a really powerful show. If they had even bothered to put 1/10, but Porsha came with the BS. I want to hear what Lauren says, because I'm actually really fascinated at that fracture. It seems like Porsha's burdens are a little bit too much for Lauren to bear after that fight, because she loves Dennis like family, and it really was a family divided. And she's starting to look at Porsha like, And so I want to see Lonnie's, I want to see and Dennis, and I want to see Mama Gina and Dom too, because I think Dom's funny. And also even Storm, I want to see them sit down and actually like tell us what their takeaway is and let us know how they're feeling. And if it ends on a cliffhanger, so be it. But I just want to see something real. And I don't think with Porsha and Simon in the scene, especially the way she treated poor James, I think she tries to never show real. So,
Okay, Grace.
For me, it's the showdown between Dennis and Porsha. I want to see what it's all about, start to finish. I want to know everything. And I want to see what he brings up in regards to why he wants a judge potentially to see if she's fit or this or that. Like, is it the fact that she's constantly beating people up, or is it the fact that she very quickly, started acting like Simon was Pilar's daddy? Like, what is it? I'm really curious about that. I think that's like my number one thing. What about you, Adam?
I'm right there with you. I want to see. I want to see if we get any resolve to this, because regardless if you're on TV or not, a co-parenting situation can get extremely messy very quick. Now add cameras to it, and it's a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. But Grace Report did remind me earlier that we are going live next week. We're going to continue this and finish off Porsha's Family Matters on Layla Lynn's channel. So hopefully you guys can catch us next Monday, same time, 12:30. Let's all wish Layla Lynn a fantastic, amazing vacation down in, I don't want to say where she's at, but hopefully she might have already said it online. If she didn't, I don't want to out her. I hope she has a great time. I'm so jealous. So Tisa, Grace, by the way, if you guys don't know where to find Tisa or Grace, you can check them out in the description of this video. You can go find them and follow them. I definitely recommend that you all go subscribe. You have to. Tisa, Grace, did I miss anything?
No, sounds good.
Thank you for having us. so much.
All right. All right, ladies. I'm about to, guys, you can catch me in 20 minutes over on DJ Richie Sky's channel. We're going to be recapping Salt Lake City, and then we'll be back tonight for today's hot takes. And then I'll be back tonight again for a later live. So we will be around. Hopefully you guys can join us. I'll post it in the community tab. We love you guys. Thank you to all the super chats, super stickers. Thank you to our mods, and thank you to everyone for liking. And thank you, most importantly, to you, Grace, and also Tisa. Thank you.
Thank you. This was so fun.
Yay. Bye.